Oh boy, The Flash came back with another episode, and oh boy. Well, no, there's been far worse than this, and I can't say that this was. It's not really filler, but it's just the delivery. All right, it was called Liberation, and you think, oh boy, it's going to resolve the whole mirror dimensions storyline. Well, in a way, Eva McCullough, Mirror Mistress, she does escape at the end there, but Iris is still trapped. Now, part of the deal here was Barry suddenly figures it all out. They even do a scene like from Homeland where he has it all mapped out on a board and everything. But the problem with that is there wasn't enough elements throughout the story that Barry was suspicious that things went off, and last episode he got kicked out of their home by Iris and all this stuff. And that was the deal that really set the light bulb off in his head, apparently. And it's like, well, I mean, there were moments where he thought it was a little odd that she did this or that. And they even play a joke on that about, all of a sudden she can make good pancakes and whatnot. But it just wasn't enough there to see that things would come together. And that's how you lay those pieces out. They just didn't do it, or I guess couldn't. I don't know. And a lot of this episode felt like, oh, we've got to hurry up and rush this along. Well, that's because you filled up the season with those filler episodes and with plots that really don't matter. I guess the Ralph and Sue, because that's inevitably going to be his wife, at least that's how it was in the comics, that sort of thing. But for the most part, a lot of it was just wasted material. Because your lack of material for your overall story. And the elements of that, of things that would have led Barry to suspect his wife, and it dawns on him and he gets it. But here it just seemed all rushed. And of course, I know it's the Flash, but remember, his speed powers are failing. Now, they did make their attempt to create the new Speed Force in a lab. And it almost looks like they're on the right path, but no, it didn't work. So, but but I mean, they've already established that Reverse Flash had done it, so why can't they? So, but and a lot of this, I just see elements that are missing, and it's like I keep referring to, the multiverse still exists. They just don't realize it. They think it was destroyed and merged into one. Some of the Earths did. Most of the Arrowverse worlds became one Earth. But meanwhile, there's still other worlds out there. They're just different. And they established that at the end of the crisis. But I would have thought that maybe they still will. Maybe the mirror dimension will reveal that, yes, there are others in this Flash. Like, holy crap, it's still all out there. Except it's all, different and whatnot. And you still have a nod that the world Stargirl will live in is not the same one they're in, and all that sort of thing. And then whatever the HBO shows do with Green Lantern, that'll be its own thing too. So I'm guessing. But anyway, so these are other elements of things they could have tossed in to stretch out their story, rather than just the typical CW soap opera stuff that they do that really just drags the show down. So they do resolve that there's something going on with Killer Frost, or Caitlin and all that, but it just, well, that's just to develop something for later. And they bring back, what's his name, Dr. Bloodwork or what have you. But I mean, that also was to more or less to introduce that he'll be back, as he even says, I'm playing the long game, and he stays in his cell even though they freed him at one point and all that. But they needed a sample of his blood to create the doorway for Eva to escape, and it works. But not before Barry and fake Iris have a knockdown, drag-out fight. Well, not so much a fight as Barry just gets tortured. I mean, she turns into a Terminator from Terminator Judgment Day and starts slicing him up. And then it was the most of the use of their special effects budget for that episode. And it did have some cool ideas where she could stick one of her mirror knives through a broken piece of mirror flying in the air, and then it comes out the other end behind Barry and stabs him and all this sort of stuff. And ultimately she defeats him, but then Barry is able to win in the end. You know why? That's right. He didn't have to fight her. He even said, I won't fight you. Because love had already defeated her. And I thought it was going to be that she actually did have feelings for Barry. And that is, they're going to keep up with the, see, here's their soap opera elements, and they don't even use the ones that would be the strongest of the matter, is what if Barry and this fake Iris have more of a relationship than he did with his real wife, and it sets up this triangle that through no fault of his own, happens. And that she'd want to keep Barry, but real Iris has to come back and all that, and that creates a problem. But he just didn't do it. Her great desire was to be her own separate autonomous entity, and for whatever reason, I guess because she's been the longest one in existence, whereas the others, which Cisco's girlfriend and the police chief or captain or commissioner, and all that, they didn't have a will of their own. And I guess because they didn't exist long enough, whereas the fake Iris did, and now she's at the point where she wants to be autonomous in her own entity, and so that's how she turns on Eva. But Eva is the overall master of these entities, and so she destroys her during one of her psychotic freakouts. Those are fun. But so she shatters and falls apart. And then Eva walks through the portal, and Barry passes out. But his flash powers, whatever is left of them, manages to heal him. And but at first he had passed out, and they do the flash logo, and I thought they were going to an ad, and they immediately come back, and he's unconscious on the floor, and then he wakes up, and he's healed. And I thought, oh, well, maybe she stuck him in the mirrorverse first, but no, he just took a little nap there and healed. And then he stares at the mirror and just starts talking to Iris. And I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm lost without you, And then they start playing a song. Oh, God, it's so bad. And then, of course, Iris is on the other end, and she does the same thing. And OMG, I'm getting chills because they're so in love. They don't realize they're communicating, and yet they are. And, yeah, that's how that works. So anyway, love wins in the end, but Mirror Mistress is a mattress. Mirror Mistress is on the loose, and she still has her mirror powers. I thought maybe if she came back to the real world, she wouldn't have them anymore. But no, she demonstrates she can jump in and out of mirrors and all that. So now she's supposedly going to get her revenge on her idiot husband. But again, as Iris discovered in this episode, deep down, she still loves him. Yeah. So in the end, even Mirror Mistress will be defeated by love. Although, I mean, her husband, she still loves him because, well, she's really a damaged person. But he's a complete monster. He doesn't care about her. And plus, I don't know. I got the vibe that he's not really into women anyway. So she's wasting her time, but maybe it'll end at a blaze of glory, and she'll kill him and herself in a blast or something. And Flash will try to save him, but it won't work or what have you. And maybe we'll discover that his experiment to create the Speed Force really did work. He just doesn't realize it yet, and his powers will just zap back at the right possible moment. So they don't have to spend too much money on doing the Flash special effects and stuff like that. Maybe that's how it'll work out. I don't know. But again, the plot points could have worked, but, same old thing. Filler and weighed down with nonsense. And even though I understand you can't have Flash action all the time because of the expense, you know what to do. Shrink the episode number down. And keep it a tight, efficient show, and that would do a lot better. And that would be true of all of them. Yeah. Well, not Batwoman or Supergirl. No. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you, most notably my comic book Night over at IndiePlanet.com. Oh, yeah. And you can catch the Mr. Nailsin Show podcast on RadioMisfits.com, and you can watch my videos also on BitChute.